To start off, a few reminders from the acoustic phonetics slides. But then on to digital sound. Bit width and sampling frequency are the two parameters that determine the quality of a digital recording. Sampling frequency specifies how many times per second the sound pressure level from the microphone is recorded as a digital number. There's an important minimum to the sampling frequency which has to be exceeded in order to avoid artifacts called aliasing. We also want good enough numerical precision for the recording of the sound pressure level changes, and that's where we need to specify bit width. With 8-bit digital numbers we can specify 255 different levels of sound pressure. That's not terribly much. 16 bits already give us more than 65,000. That's usually enough. Now here we can see why we need a minimum sampling frequency in order to get a good representation of the original signal. In the left panel you see a sine wave which is sampled at the places with the black dots. Although the straight line approximation through the black dots is not exactly identical with the original sine wave, you see that at least it does have the same number of periods, the same number of repetitions of ups and downs. So we have a correct representation of the frequency. In the right panel, on the other hand, although the underlying original waveform has a higher frequency, there are less repetitions of the period in the sampled waveform. This means the signal gets distorted, like with this low frequency artifact that we have in the example. In order to avoid this problem, we have to make sure that the highest frequency that we're interested in does not exceed half of the sampling frequency, which is called the Nyquist frequency. If we're only interested in intonation research, a sampling frequency of 8 kHz would be plenty. But if we also want to analyze fricatives, then we would want at least a sampling frequency of 20 kHz to be able to look at frequencies in the spectrum up to 10 kHz. A bit width of 16 bits is usually okay for all purposes. Finally, always remember to record to a lossless format like WAV files, never to lossy compressed formats like MP3.